Hey guys, welcome into Faith in Football. My name is Neil, and as always, I am your host. Well, today's the day. We're finally doing a mock draft. Don't have any requests yet, so I'm just going to kind of wing this one. There's going to be a couple of specific things I'm going to touch on, but what we're going to learn is about building a foundation for your team, which is basically what the draft is. Now, before we get into the football, as always, we're going to hit the faith first. And today's verse is going to come from 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 11. Now, I'm going to back up just a couple of verses, but I want you to pay attention to number 11, okay? So in verse 10, Paul is writing to the church in Corinth, and he says, "Because of God's grace to me, I have laid the foundation like an expert builder. Now others are building on it, but whosoever is building on this foundation must be careful." Verse 11, "For no one can lay any foundation other than the one we already have, Jesus Christ." See, if we don't build on the right foundation for our fantasy team, don't expect to win. If you don't build on the right foundation for your life, which is Jesus Christ, you're going to have some hard times. Like, it's not going to work out well for you. Now, working out well can mean a whole lot of different things. You might see some people have a whole lot of worldly success, but they're empty inside. They're always trying to fill that hole that can only be filled by God. I know I myself went down that road many years ago. Well, years ago, let's say that. I know the gray in the beard kind of gives away my age a little bit, but regardless, the world defines greatness and happiness a whole lot different than the Bible does. And the foundation that is built on worldly pleasures and worldly possessions isn't the kind of foundation that's going to make you really, truly happy. Now, there's a lot of good Christian people out there who have a lot of success, but they have it because they followed the right path. They went down the road that they were supposed to go. They built on the foundation that God showed them. So here's what I want you to do. As you go throughout your day, let's say you're not in that great of a place, and that's fine. We all don't have good days. Sometimes we have really bad ones. But I want you to remember that the foundation that you're laying, it's going to be a beautiful house when you're done. If anybody's ever seen the foundation for a house, it's not pretty. It's very basic. It's more often than not, I know down here, it's a slab of concrete. But that slab of concrete is extremely important to keeping the house that's built on top of it standing through all the storms, through all the hard times that house is going to go through, everything that the outside world is going to throw at you. You're not going to be able to stand unless you have a good foundation. So I'm going to remind you, as Paul did, that whatever foundation you're laying down, that you put Jesus Christ first. Now, there's going to be a couple of things we're going to go over when we go through this mock draft where it's a do as I say, not as I do type thing. And I encourage you, don't look at other people and try to gauge their life and yours. It's a different road. It's a different build. God doesn't intend the same thing for all of us. We each have a different testimony that means something to the kingdom of God. So your testimony and my testimony are two totally different things, but as long as they're built on the same foundation, then that's pleasing to the Lord. So remember, 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 11, and remind yourself What foundation are you building on? And if it's not Jesus, my advice, rip it down, start over again. You might just find a better living environment than the one you're currently in. I know I did. So there's our faith for the day. And y'all, I really hope that you enjoy these. Down the bottom, please subscribe, like, and share if you're new to the channel. Also, if you want to hear a really great podcast that I've found here as of late, shortly before I started doing this year, it's called the Victory Couch. And if you're having a hard day, if you're married, this is a great thing for you and your wife to listen to. My wife and I listen to it. But it's by Rick and Julie Rando. It's called the Victory Couch. You can find it on Spotify. I'll try to put the link down below when I load this up. But regardless, go out and find it on Spotify. And I believe it's also on Apple Podcasts. But I got a Samsung, so I just listened to it on Spotify. It's absolutely phenomenal podcast. It's just very generic, very down to earth podcast where it's just two people. They're married. They've been together for a while. They're just talking, and a lot of times that's all it takes for a good marriage to become a great one. It's just communication. They bring up topics. They bring up questions, and it starts a flow of communication. So tune into it as you tune into this. When you tune into them, tell them you heard about them from me. I'd love to know that, we're trying to spread the word as best we can. So when is the football starting? Right now, guys. So mock draft season. Actually, it's draft season. And if you haven't been mock drafting, what have you been doing with your life? Come on. But look, this is the first mock draft that I'm doing here. If you have a specific place or a specific set of parameters that you want to see mocked on this show, hit me up on Twitter. You can find me at Faith, the letter N, football 1. And you can leave me a request. Tell me, hey, look, I got a full PPR league, 12 guys. I'm drafting from the 6th spot. Can you run through something? And I want to lean wide receiver heavy. Cool. Give me something like that. Let me know what you want to see, and I'll be more than happy to run through for you and give you my opinion of where to start building your foundation for your team. So there's a couple of things before we get into the mock itself. First of all, we're doing it on Sleeper, hashtag not a sponsor, but you guys do awesome work, and I would love to do business with you. I already do a ton on the Sleeper app. I love my Sleeper app. I have to monitor a little bit or I get carried away. But we're doing it off the Sleeper app today. You can set whatever kind of parameters you want. Today, we're doing a full PPR 12-team league. We're doing a quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and 2 flex positions, just to show you a little bit of depth for your lineup, okay? Because once you get past the 8th round, there's a whole lot of variables that I really can't go over in detail on the show because it's just way too many variables that are thrown in there. And you'll understand what I'm talking about once we get into it. But there are 3 things that I wrote down that I do. And yes, I write stuff down. Old school. Sorry, guys. But listen, there's 3 things that I want you to pay attention to when we do this. I think are very valuable pieces of information to have when you go into the draft. Number 1, we're going to pause just a second. Just wanted to make sure I still had sound. So anyway, I know the first episode I didn't have any sound. I put it out and everybody was like, it looks good, but we can't hear you. So wanted to make sure. But anyway, so the 3 things that we want to get to. 1, if you have a bad defense going up a really good offense, that is fantasy gold. Okay. Actually, let me rephrase that a little bit. If you have a bad defense with a good offense, that is fantasy gold. Here's an example. Okay. The Vikings. The Vikings ranking right now, as it stands, according to Fantasy Pros, they are ranked 30th. Yeah, there's only 32 teams on defense, which means that their offense is going to have to score a whole lot of points. Here's the good thing. They are perfectly capable of scoring a ton of points with Justin Jefferson, with Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, Big Irv Smith. You know, all of these guys, they can score points. So if you have a piece of that offense, you're pretty much guaranteed, as much as fantasy football can be, guaranteed production from your stars. Okay. Now you're going to have to pay up for Justin Jefferson. You're going to have to pay up for Dalvin Cook. However, you don't have to pay up for Kirk Cousins, which is a good thing because you can take a Justin Jefferson, and we're going to show you, because I'm going to draft from the 4 spot today to kind of show you a little bit of what it's like to be faced with a really hard decision early in the draft, and it kind of sets a whole chain of events in motion. The next thing I want you to remember is that great passing versus a bad defense can sometimes give you limited production. Now, here's what I mean, is that if you have really good offense and they're facing a really good offense and they're facing a really bad defense, they're going to score points early. They're going to get up, and it's all going to be about the run game. So the passing isn't going to be there for that game. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Divisions like the AFC East, where you've got Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Cleveland, I'm drawing a blank, but anyway. Oh, and the Ravens. Sorry, I try to forget about them as much as I can. You know, they're the second team in Maryland. Yeah, Washington plays in Landover. So anyway, but yeah, they call that the black and blue division. They do a lot of running. Now, here as of late, you got Joe Burrow. He's going to be throwing a lot. But if he goes up, and let's just see, trying to find the Ravens on my list. So the Ravens are about middle of the pack. I have the top 10 and the bottom 10 labeled, and the Ravens are nowhere on this list. So sorry, Ravens fans, you're not there. Trying to see who else is. Nope. Sorry. But anyway, but yeah, if you have games where your offense is going to score a lot of points, and then your defense is horrible, it's going to be all about the run game. There's going to be no need to pass the ball, so it's just all going to go to the running back. That's why running backs are so valuable, especially guys who can catch the ball, like Christian McCaffrey. Okay, like Austin Eckler, who just so happened to be the ADP 1 and 2. Give me 1 second, guys. Told you guys I was a fan. Now, if you guys like this, go down the bottom, leave me a comment. And if you want to personalize one, guess what? My wife can do it. I know she's talented, but anyway, she did that one. It's awesome. So anyway, the third thing that I want you guys to remember is that a great run game versus a bad defense, that's guaranteed production for you. Why? Same reason I said before about the bad defense versus a great passing game. They go up, they've got a big lead. What happens? You just run the ball. So when you've got guys like Jonathan Taylor, who are on a really good team, they've got a decent defense in with the Colts. Actually, they are top 10. They're the 10th team on the list. So they've got a really good defense. They've got a really good run game. They have a capability of going up on you. So it's all going to be Jonathan Taylor. A lot of production there. That's why he's so valuable. That's why he's going 101, maybe 102. If the guy at the 101 is really daring and wants to snag CMC. So a couple of things to think about while we go into it. I want you to also think about going and see my people down at Zia Rotisserie Grill. They are on 235 Duce Road in Lafayette, Louisiana. So if you were in the area, please stop by, give them a call, 406-0013. Tell them Faith in Football sent you. And in the month of August, you can get a free appetizer with your purchase of a entree. Now, this is a free appetizer for the table, not for everybody, okay? So you go down there with a couple of buddies, you can get a free appetizer, get you the hummus, get you the Asian almond shrimp. It's great. Maybe you can get some some ribs. You never know. So go down there, check them out. Tell them Faith in Football sent you. Go down there, see Tucker, Leonard, and Andy, and Heath, all the guys down there. Ask if Neil's around, and I might even come out and say hi. So I appreciate the love for Zia. If you would go down there and tell them that I sent you. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and pull up. Let's see. Here we go. So here we go. We've got the draft going on, and let's go right here. So as you see, I'm going to claim the number 4 team. And yes, my sleeper name is Faith in Football. Try to keep on brand. Now, we don't have a time limit on this, just so I can go ahead and evaluate and kind of explain what's going on, okay? So let's go ahead and start this draft. There we go. So we got Christian McCaffrey there. Jonathan Taylor. And I'm hoping that once I go through all this, when I do it. Now, Derrick Henry going number 3. That can be really a really crazy type of pick, because you're putting a whole lot of emphasis on Derrick Henry. Okay, now Derrick Henry, look, last year he was phenomenal. Last year he was the RB1 far and above, even after he got injured. It took Jonathan Taylor and company like all year to catch up with the production that Derrick Henry had. Now, Christian McCaffrey at the 101, not surprised, because that is actually happening. So let's see here. Oh. Anyway, so CMC, Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry. Here's where you have a choice. I've got Austin Eckler, I've got Cooper Kupp, I got Justin Jefferson. Now, like I said before, if you want to go with running back here, okay, I've got a really hard time paying this high of a price for guys who are not the number 1 at their position. You didn't get Jonathan Taylor. You didn't get Christian McCaffrey. You got a gift by Derrick Henry going 3rd, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and I'll take Justin Jefferson, okay? Now, why take Justin Jefferson? Because I'm fine with taking guys who are going to fall to me, okay? Now, Dalvin Cook goes next, then Cooper Kupp, Najee, Eckler, Davante Adams going off at number 9. Now, I will tell you right now, there is no way that I'm letting Ja'Marr Chase fall this far. Now, we're only doing 8 rounds, so you guys can see all the 8 rounds while we're here on Sleeper. Slide this over a little bit. Let's finish this round out, and then we'll go back and do a little something. Okay. Travis Kelce going at the 12 is interesting, but I don't agree with it. There's no way that I'm taking Travis Kelce this early. Okay. Yeah, there's definitely a discrepancy between the top, let's just say 3 tight ends and then everybody else. But I'm not taking Kelce at the 12 spot. Okay, I'm just not doing it. There's no way that I'm letting Ja'Marr Chase fall all the way to 10 in a 12-team league. I would feel much better about taking Ja'Marr Chase where Najee Harris, Austin Eckler went. And there's no way that I'm taking Davante Adams switching over, because here's the thing. Everybody is going to be looking at Davante Adams like the Davante Adams of Green Bay, but he's not the Davante Adams of Green Bay anymore. He's the Davante Adams with the Raiders. So with Derek Carr, but Derek Carr already has a familiarity with Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow. Like, guys, come on. Think about this for a second. You got 2 other targets. Has Davante Adams ever played with anybody else that threatened his target share? No. There's no way that I'm taking Davante Adams this high. And this is what we talk about when we say wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, RB1, RB2, stuff like that. If you draft him this high, here's what you're saying. You're saying that Davante Adams will be the 3rd best wide receiver in the league. I just don't see a road. I'll take it back. I see a way that he could be the 3rd best overall, but I see it as highly unlikely. Okay. He's getting a little older. He's either pushing 30 or dang near. So, now Dalvin Cook at number 5, I'm okay with. If that's what you want to do and that's how you want to draft, fine. Cooper Kupp, definitely okay at number 6. There's a lot of these mock drafts that I've been doing where he's actually the 3rd player off the board. Now, here's my only concern is that there's a lot of reports coming out of camp that Matt Stafford's kind of dealing with a little elbow problem. So what does that mean? It means that productions might not quite be there. Plus, Cooper Kupp had an amazing year last year, record setting. He was clearly far and above the number 1 wide receiver in the league. Now, I don't see him being able to repeat that. Can he be the number 2? Sure. But let me ask you this. We've already picked 4 wide receivers right here. None of them are named Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel just got paid. He just got extended. Where's he? He was the number 2. If you take Cooper Kupp out of the picture, he was the number 1, and number 1 by a good bit. He had a phenomenal year. But here's the thing. It's the quarterback situation that people are scared about. They don't know what Trey Lance is going to do. They knew what Jimmy Garoppolo was, but they just don't know about Trey Lance. Justin Jefferson, solid quarterback situation. Cooper Kupp, he's got the talent, but we don't know about the quarterback right now. Ja'Marr Chase, far and above, an outstanding pick at number 10. I love that because you've got so many options coming back, and we're going to see that in just a second. Now, let's see what happens with team 12 with this Travis Kelce pick. How are they going to go now? DeAndre Swift. Now look, Swift, definite riser here. I'm not saying the number one. Top end of the second round, maybe a little reach, but this is what you have to do when you're at the 12 spot. Okay. Now, who would I have taken instead of Travis Kelce with that pick? Look, I would probably go ahead. I would recommend, if you're going to go wide receiver, if you want to pick there and you're not reaching, Stefon Diggs at the back end of the first round, and then come back and get Swift, fine. If you believe in CD Lamb, this is going to be a sheer volume thing. And when you remember earlier when I said there's going to be some things where it's a do as I say, not as I do type thing. See all these decorations back here? See this cup in my hand? In 20 plus years of playing fantasy football, I've never had a Cowboy on my team. And I played when the triplets were there, where Aikman, Irving, and Emmett played. Still didn't take them. Might be calling me crazy. But the number one rule of fantasy football is to have fun. Can't have fun if you're rooting for your arch rival. Sorry, it just don't happen. Okay, so if you share my point of view, look down the bottom, subscribe, like, share, and leave me a comment about if you think that my point of view is just nuts or if you understand where I'm coming from. I'd love to hear your comments on this one, okay? So, next up. There we go. There's Stefon Diggs. And Joe Mixon at the back half of the second. I'll tell you right now, I would have been perfectly fine with those being switched because I wouldn't trust Stefon Diggs falling that far. Okay. Next up, let's see. And there's CD Lamb. So you got CD Lamb and Jamar Chase. This guy is definitely going wide receiver heavy. Mark Andrews. Now, typically, that's who I've been seeing going off in as the number one tight end. And that's about the place where you're going to have to pay for him. Now, high volume, he's pretty much the number one guy for Lamar Jackson. Now, Hollywood Brown is out of town. They got Duvernay. Their running game, they're holding on. They're basically bubble wrapping J.K. Dobbins. Okay. Rashad Bateman is also their other wide receiver. We're not really sure what he's all about yet. But Mark Andrews is guaranteed to get a monster share of the targets, especially in the goal line, which makes him extremely valuable for fantasy football. Now, here's the thing. He is going to be the one of, if not the top tight end this year. And that gives you a positional advantage. Write that down. Positional advantage. He's a lot like Jonathan Taylor for running backs. He's a lot like Josh Allen, a lot like Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase. All those guys give you positional advantages over the competition. But you got to pay a really high price. Now, by taking Mark Andrews here, what are you giving up? Let's get back to this one. We're going to put a pin in right here on the 9th team. And we're going to see how many running backs he actually burns off and misses out on because he took a tight end with the second pick. So let's see. Deebo Samuel going in the second. Nick Chubb. Now, here's Nick Chubb and Najee Harris. Now, with their recent news of Kareem Hunt asking for a trade, that puts Nick Chubb way higher than most people are going to have him. So getting him here in the second round, you're saying that he's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He's a top 10 running back. Okay. Now we're coming up to what some people call the running back dead zone. Some people call it rounds 3 through 6. Some people call it 4 through 7. Whatever you call it, it's where running backs are going to fall that you really don't want to pick. But if you're like Team 10 that took nothing but wide receivers with your first 2 picks, you're going to kind of be left with the bottom of the barrel and guys that you're really guessing on. So Cooper Kupp's teammate is Tyreek Hill. Now, that is a definite high volume 1-2 punch. Here's my only issue is that Tyreek Hill switching up to Tua, and I don't care what he's been saying about Tua being more accurate than Pat Mahomes. Look, if you're going into the draft with these things, you already lost. Okay? Please don't go in with a magazine, because it's stuff like this with the Tyreek Hill. That's what all of the magazines are going to be saying. They're going to be saying, oh, Tyreek going to Miami and this and that. Listen, some of them might not even have Tyreek. Some of them might still have Jalen Waddle as the number 1 wide receiver. He might be, but look how many targets are in Miami. It's just a cluster of wide receiver talent. Cedric Wilson, they brought him in. I think they brought in a couple more guys. I don't even remember their names. That's how many there are. Plus all the running backs. Look, I don't care how many targets you give Tua. He's only one football. So Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill, great on paper, but I'd be a little nervous going in with that lineup right there. So Kamara. Now, given his recent legal problems, Kamara probably won't be suspended or dealing with a suspension this year. They keep postponing and postponing and postponing. So what's going to happen? Don't know. Now, at this point, I've got a short turn. I've got a few wide receivers that I really like that are probably going to fall to me in the 3rd round. The one guy that I definitely think will not fall to me in the 3rd round is a running back, Aaron Jones. I love Aaron Jones, and with all the vacated targets, look, the majority of vacated targets go to the running backs. Now, don't get me wrong, I love A.J. Dillon, and if you miss out on Aaron Jones, you can wait on A.J. Dillon and pick him later in the draft. But Aaron Jones at this price, coupled with Justin Jefferson, look, there's nobody to throw to in Green Bay. Okay. Their rookie wide receiver, Christian Watson, he just got hurt. Now, I've heard a lot of good things about Romeo Doubs. And it's either Dubs or Dobbs, and he really doesn't care which one. I heard the interview. So you got a couple of rookies that Rodgers doesn't really like throwing to anyway. Allen Lazard and Robert Tonyan. There's still a whole lot of passing going on in Green Bay, and it's probably going to go to Aaron Jones. He's just more familiar with Aaron Rodgers. He knows what he wants, and they're probably just going to use A.J. Dillon as the run guy. So if you're looking for volume and looking for a snag late in the draft, look at A.J. Dillon. But right now, in the back half of the 2nd round, you're definitely looking at Aaron Jones. So let's see here. Next up, Javonte Williams. Now, recent news just broke, and matter of fact, well, I can't go to it right now, but recent news just broke that Melvin Gordon is dealing with a foot injury. How severe it is yet to be determined, but that is nothing but good news for Javonte Williams. And if you can get him here, now, what I don't like about this, you got Javonte Williams and Derrick Henry, not really pass catching guys, but really high volume. Okay. We're going to see what Javonte is with Russ Wilson. We saw what he was last year with Drew Lock. I really liked it. I like the fact that they're basically a 1-2 punch with Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon, with Javonte having most of the shares. And if this injury keeps nagging Melvin Gordon, who is getting older throughout the season, Javonte Williams is my boy. Now, before I make this next pick, speaking of another boy that's a good friend of mine, Nick Reed. Yep. Still got the fresh cut going on. My boy does really good work. If you were in Lafayette, Louisiana, please go see Nick Reed down at Parish Aligned Barbershop, right behind Charlie Cheese off Ambassador Caffrey. If you want to give him a call, you can call him at 337-456-9062. That's 9062. Give him a call, set up something. You can go to parishalign.com, make an appointment with Nick Reed. Okay, make sure that you tell him that Neil from Faith and Football sent you, and tell him I said, hey, what's up? So, moving on, let's get this next pick out of here. Mike Evans. Look, I really can't say a whole lot bad about Mike Evans. Ever since he entered the league, he's done nothing but score 1,000-yard rush or 1,000-yard receiving every single year. That's ridiculous. That's crazy to think that he's had that kind of stability with multiple quarterbacks. Jameis, now Tom Brady, everybody that was in between. It's just crazy how much success this guy has had. There's really not a whole lot of negative I can say about this guy. Now, do want to see. Yeah, and with the other guys that are coming up after him, Mike Evans is pretty much the last of the top tier. And real quick, let me bring this up. When you guys are doing your research for your drafts, and you're looking at all of these top 100 players and all this other stuff, and you're going to the ADP. Okay. If you look at the ADP, that's great. But what I want you to do is I want you to find some tier-based rankings. If you can find some tier-based rankings, there we go. If you can find some tier-based rankings, that will do you so much more justice than just going off of a list. Here's why. If you have like wide receivers and running backs, and you have them in different tiers, and I'm talking like here, you've got McCaffrey and Jonathan Taylor. They're in a tier. Then you have what's called a tier break. Then you have Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, Najee Harris, Austin Eckler. Then you have another break. And you have guys like Joe Mixon, Swift, Chubb, Kamara, Jones, Javonte Williams. That's another tier. If you're looking at a tier-based ranking and you go, okay, there's like 4 wide receivers in tier 2, but there's only 1 running back left in tier 2, I probably need to take a running back, or else I'm going to be a tier down, and these other wide receivers could fall to me. Okay. Especially if you've only got like 3 picks before your next pick, like I do. Okay. 4 picks. Okay. I'm fine with letting one of these other wide receivers fall so I can get Aaron Jones. And I'm not falling out of a tier where I'm not going to be comfortable taking running backs. Now, the next running backs up, we got Saquon, Fournette, Zeke, who you guys know I'm not taking. James Conner has a lot of question marks in my mind. There's touchdown regression. There's the belief that Benjamin is a lot better than what they actually think about him. I actually was listening to the Fantasy Footballers. Hi guys, how y'all doing? And if you guys could, when you go visit the Fantasy Footballers, tell them you heard about them from me. Okay. I love their work. Anyway, they're based in Arizona, diehard Cardinals fans. They were just talking today on their episode about how Benjamin was in the doghouse last year. Very interesting stuff. Go take a listen to them. It's the Wednesday, August 10th episode. This is going to drop tomorrow on August 11th. So go down there and check those guys out. And then Cam Akers. Look, I love Cam Akers. When he came out his rookie year, I was looking at him for Rookie of the Year. I loved his film. I loved his landing spot. But I'm just scared to draft him, guys. I'm going to be honest with you. Now, there's a couple of guys down the road that I actually don't mind waiting on and seeing how they fall. So let's go ahead and see who the Christian McCaffrey team is going to take next. Kyle Pitts, look, there's going to be nothing but passing in Atlanta. When you got back-to-back picks, let's go ahead and see the next one. And Josh Allen. So here's what this team did. And this is very interesting that it fell like this. They took 3 of the top guys at the position. This is positional advantage drafting right here, okay? You took Christian McCaffrey, who's probably going to be, well, he's going to be phenomenal health provided, okay? This guy did nothing but score in the top 3 the games that he actually played. He was running back 1 a couple of games. He was, I think, running back 3 another one. It was just absolutely ridiculous how good this guy was in limited play. Then you got Josh Allen, who's going for his 3rd straight overall quarterback 1 overall ranking in fantasy football again. It's just crazy. So getting these guys is really good when you have to wait 20 picks before you get to pick again. Okay. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 22. Sorry, 22 picks. My bad. Before you pick again. That's a lot of talent that you missed out on. And to be able to snag these guys at that time, that's really good. Now, if somebody else took Kyle Pitts before you, okay, take Mark Andrews. Somebody took Mark Andrews and you want that, take Kelsey. That's great. I know what I said about Kelsey, but that was in the back end of the first round. This is the back end of the second round. Big difference. Zeke Elliott. Look, I'm not a big believer in Zeke. I'm just not. Move on. T. Higgins. Oh. I was about to auto pick myself. Crazy. So I'm looking at Justin Jefferson. I'm looking at Aaron Jones. Now, here's the thing. I've got quite a bit of distance between me and the next pick. Now, this is what I'm talking about flowing with the draft, okay? The ballers, and you will hear me talk about them a whole lot because I love these guys and I love what they stand for and how they present themselves. So the ballers call it being water. Okay, water is fluent. It goes with the flow. It adjusts. You've got to adjust in drafting. Not everything is going to work out how you planned it, but you've got to be able to make adjustments. So Elliott got taken. T. Higgins got taken. Josh Allen, Kyle Pitts, Mike Evans, Javonte Williams. Could Javonte Williams have fallen to me? Sure, because there was only one other running back, and I would love to have had Javonte Williams and Aaron Jones, but I can't get them. So here's what I'm going to do. When you're taking a second running back, which is basically what I'm doing here, my number 2, I'm cool with this move. I know it sounds crazy, and look, it's nuts for me personally because I got burned with Saquon a couple of years back because I took him number 1 overall. Hurt my soul, guys. I'm telling you, hurt my soul when he went down. It was a freak accident. He rolled his ankle. I wasn't happy about it. It was nuts. Okay. And I also had Christian McCaffrey when he got hurt. That was crazy. I got hurt on both of these guys. I don't want to spend the draft capital of a Christian McCaffrey with that injury. But because I have Aaron Jones, I'm fine taking Saquon because he's on the last year of his contract. They've got no reason not to run the dickens out of this guy. So go ahead, take Saquon in the third. I'm fine with that. Matter of fact, he was the last guy in this tier. Okay. And if you look, this is what I love about Sleeper. Oh, not that. Yeah, they might not show it on this one. Yep, they don't show it on this one. But if you look at it on your phone, you'll see a line? That shows you the tier. That shows you what round these guys go in. Okay. So I'm perfectly fine taking Saquon at this spot. Okay. Now let's go ahead. Now, this guy is going way running back heavy. I don't like that at all. And this guy went way wide receiver heavy. Let's see what we've got going on here. Now, I told you guys we were going to put a pin in Team 9. I want you to look at all of the running backs that this guy passed on. Nick Chubb, Kamara, Aaron Jones, Javonte Williams, Zeke, Saquon, Fournette, Akers, Connor. Really? Personally, it's not worth it. I think that there's other tight ends that he could have gotten. And that tight end plus whatever running back he could get at that spot would probably have done him good. Let's see what we go with here. And he takes Justin Herbert. So Herbert in the third, definite reach. Kyle Allen. Once again, we got so much variation here. It's not even funny. You got guys who are going, and this is good for practice for your home league because you never know. My next show, I'm going to be doing the top 10 do's and don'ts of drafting. Okay. Don't miss it. You're going to want to see this. Now, this looks like what could be starting a run. Okay. Typically, running or quarterbacks don't get to start taking until, your top 2 guys, you might lose in round 4 or round 3. I've seen some where you got Josh Allen going in the 2nd. Okay. But this is what's called a run. Okay. Let's see who else we got. You got DJ Moore. I'm not trusting Baker, and I don't know about DJ this early. Next up, Terry McLaurin. There is no way, and I know I got all this behind me. There is no way at all, after all of the accuracy problems that I've been hearing coming out of Washington's camp with Carson Wentz, that I'm trusting him to support Terry McLaurin. I'm just not. Kittle. I don't know. Darren Waller. Apparently, we're having a run on tight ends as well. Next up, Deontay Johnson. Okay. I'm really liking how this is working out.
Yeah,
because if I can hold out, I'm about to be really happy with this. Now, Brees Hall going in the fourth. Everybody and their mama is hyped about Brees Hall, except me. Look, I've even got a co-owner who just so happens to be my boss, who is just so gaga over Brees Hall. It's not even funny, but I'm not. Okay. It's the Jets, guys. I'm sorry, but they've got to go up against Buffalo, Miami, and the Patriots twice a year. Guys, that's 6 games. Plus, they got Michael Carter still. Plus, they want to try to have a passing game. What are you going to do? I don't trust the Jets to do the right thing. I just don't. Now, this one hurts a little bit because I was hoping that Michael Pittman was going to fall back to me at the 4-9. Okay. I'm absolutely loving Michael Pittman this year. Look, last year, if I'm not mistaken, he was the wide receiver 13. That was with Carson Wentz. Are you kidding me? Matt Ryan, much better. Definite upgrade. Travis Etienne. And I think somebody is reading my mind here because I love Etienne. The only problem with this is that I was hoping that he was going to wait till the 5th. Okay. So, Waddle, I'm cool with losing Waddle. Okay. Now, since I'm playing PPR, and I'm looking for another wide receiver here. Now, let me see. I'm going to pull up the ADP. And when you're going to hear some people talk about playing the ADP game, okay, definitely have it out on your phone during the draft. Okay. All you got to do when you go to Google, you just Google fantasy football ADP 2022 and find the Fantasy Pros rankings. Okay. So if I'm playing ADP now, AJ Brown gone. I don't trust Hurts to make AJ Brown be what he is meant to be. Okay. Now AJ Brown can be extremely beneficial for Jalen Hurts. So let's see. 12, 24, 36. So guys, what I'm looking at here, I'm looking at the overall wide receiver rankings. Okay. Now, my go here, I'm taking, oh, shoot. That's not who I'm taking. And this is what I love about Sleeper and doing these mock drafts. You make a mistake, you can go back and correct it. That's not who I wanted. Let me show you guys who I wanted. Okay. I'm going to take Courtland Sutton. I'm a huge believer in Russ think Russ is going to be able to cook. Let's keep on going here. Gibson, I'm cool with losing Gibson. I'm not. Montgomery, I like Montgomery, but it's a new regime in Chicago. There's nothing. They stripped this offense down to the bones except for Justin Fields and David Montgomery. Khalil Herbert is rumored to be getting a whole lot of play and a whole lot of talk, so I'm good. Jerry Jeudy. Look, I took Sutton instead of Jeudy. They are back-to-back on ADP, okay? But here's the thing, and I've heard this time and time again on other podcasts. Cortland Sutton and it has already proven on an NFL level that he can succeed when given a mediocre quarterback, let alone a future Hall of Famer like Russ Wilson. Jerry Jeudy, don't know. Plus, he's injury prone. And they just lost Tim Patrick. Let's see what else we got here. Jacobs, okay. Metcalf. I got 2 shots at somebody coming up. And I'm really, really torn on this one. Oh, that was one of them. Now, this is what I'm talking about being water and making adjustments. This actually helps you. I'm torn. I was torn between Mike Williams and my next pick. Now, even though Amari Cooper, according to Sleeper, is in this tier, here's the thing. I am absolutely, without a doubt, trusting Hollywood Brown in Arizona this year with Kyler Murray and an absent D-Hop. DeAndre Hopkins is gone for the first, 6 games? Guys, that's almost half of your fantasy league season right there. If Hollywood Brown does absolutely phenomenal, great. If he doesn't, I got Justin Jefferson and Cortland Sutton. Good, solid picks. I'm getting in the middle of the draft. Let's see what else we're going here. Lamar Jackson. I like Lamar. Let's see what else we do. Dobbins. Okay, I like Dobbins. I really do. Cooper. Look, with the whole Deshaun Watson thing, I'm really not digging the pass catchers for Cleveland right now. Joe Burrow. Now, I will tell you right now that this team 10, if they could have gotten Joe Burrow, that would have been great. That's what we call a stack. Next up, Elijah Mitchell. Godwin. There's no way I'm touching Chris Godwin. Not at all. Next up, Allen Robinson. Now, look, this guy right here, this late in the draft, I'm perfectly fine with taking Robinson. Here's my only thing. Well, now I can't even say that. I was going to say you could wait until Matt Stafford, but dealing with the elbow. But I like Allen Robinson. Look, before Robert Woods left, Jared Goff was supporting Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp for fantasy relevant wide receivers. I don't see any reason why Matt Stafford, dealing with an elbow injury or not, couldn't support 2 viable options at wide receiver. There's always a team that has 2 number 1s. Next up, CEH. Guys, I've just been burned way too much by him. Now, we see A.J. Dillon here in the 6th. The 6th. Look at the price I paid for Aaron Jones. I had to pay a 2nd round to get Aaron Jones. Yes, there's a lot more pass catching for Aaron Jones. Yes, he's more valuable. But if you pass on a guy like Aaron Jones, let's just say, for instance, that I took Jefferson and Mike Evans. Okay. Or if I liked Jefferson and Pitts, if I wanted to do that, I could have done that. And then I could have waited until the 5th round to jump up and get AJ Dillon. Okay. Now, I would have had to give up Hollywood. I probably wouldn't have had I would have given up Hollywood. But this is why we practice, guys. Now, Brandin Cooks, look, personally, I think the 6th round might be a little too early for Brandin Cooks, but that's just me personally. I don't know if guys are going to really be on top of him because he is the number 1 option in Houston. Kyler Murray. Now, this is the guy that I was hoping slid back around to me, but it didn't happen because I wanted to team him up with Hollywood. That would have been awesome. So let's see what else we got coming on. D-Hop. Guys, I'm not touching D-Hop. I'm good. Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think this is recency bias here. I really do. What I mean by that, we know Amon-Ra St. Brown from the back end of his campaign last year, where everybody hopped on and rode him into a championship. It's not going to be the same thing. Swift is healthy. Hawkinson's healthy. Okay. They brought in DJ Shark. DJ Shark's a lot cheaper, probably has a better upside. Okay. But remember, it's still Jared Goff throwing him the ball. I mean, come on, guys. Dalton Schultz. Now, I'm going to say this biting my tongue, but Dalton Schultz is not a bad pick right here. Okay. I know that hurts a lot, but Dalton Schultz for a tight end, really good pick. I like it. I don't like it before a quarterback, though. I do want to point that out. Okay, this team does not have a quarterback. Now, Michael Thomas being picked here in the 6th, I'm not liking that at all. Miles Sanders. Again, I just don't trust Philly to do what's right. Plus, this team has way too many running backs. So, I'm up. I'm going to take a look here. Okay, so this is what you call reading the board, okay? If you look at the back half of this draft, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quarterbacks gone. So that means that the 5 guys on the back half of this draft have no need for quarterback. However, these 2 do, and there's 4 picks before me where they can do this. So if I want to stack right here, I've either got to do one of 2 things. I've either got to take Russell Wilson right now because I lost out on Kyler Murray, or I wait and chance coming back in the 8th to take Kirk Cousins. So I'm looking at my board. Now you want to look for value here, okay? Now, what I don't have is I don't have a tight end, but I just said I don't want to take a tight end before I take a quarterback. Not right now, not with the top 3 or 4 off the board. Andrews is gone. Pitts is gone. Kelsey's gone. Waller's gone. Kittle's gone. Dalton Schultz, you guys know I'm not taking. The next up would be Hockenson. I'm cool with letting Hockenson slide. And I'll tell you why a little later on, if I can get him. If he gets taken, I'll let you know. So the two teams after me, they're going to need some wide receivers. They need either quarterbacks, wide receivers, something like that. Okay. Team one, McCaffrey and Jacobs, they're pretty much set. They're probably going to go wide receiver. Okay. So if I want a guy who is probably going to end up as the number one, this is where you look at the defense. Okay. Now I look at the defense. I see the Bears down at the bottom, and I mean the bottom, ranked 32nd. So what am I doing? Guys, taking Darnell Mooney. Sorry, got a rapport with Justin Fields. So I want the number one option on a team that's going to have to throw the ball a ton. And it's basically just him and Cole Kmet. So him and Kmet, I'm cool with letting that ride. Next up, Drake London. I like the rookie pick. I really do. But there's one other rookie that I like even more. Of course, Adam Thielen is no rookie. Now, this is kind of odd that Harris goes up off the board as a third running back on a team that only has one other wide receiver, with so many wide receivers still on the board. Rashad Bateman, decent pick, okay, in the 7th. Now, Jalen Hurts goes off the board. Now, Jalen Hurts, I like as a fantasy quarterback. I don't like as a real life quarterback. But this is where you have to make the distinction between the two. Just because they're good for real life football does not mean that they're good for fantasy, and vice versa. They can be really, really good for fantasy and a really crappy real life quarterback. So there goes Hockenson off the board. That would have been my tight end. Now, here's the thing. I have 2 wide receivers or 2 running backs, 4 wide receivers. Okay. Now I've got to take a quarterback here and a tight end, but just for the sake of argument, I'm going to build depth and I'm going to punt the position down the road just a touch. Okay. But here's the thing. I've got, here we go. Russ Wilson. There's my stack. Okay. I got it 7th round, stacking him and Courtland Sutton. I'm really liking that. Next up, Juju. Now, I'll be honest with you. I was looking at Juju in place of Darnell Mooney. I like a high flying defense or offense with KC. My only reservation with it was the fact that he's transferring from another team. He doesn't really have a rapport. So I believe safer pick is Darnell Mooney with Justin Fields. They already have a rapport. They work really well together, and really bad defense. So next up, Dallas Goedert. Not bad. Kareem Hunt. Let me just read you a couple of the guys that are still on the board here, okay? Ken Walker. I would love to have taken Ken Walker probably in place of this, especially since I took the top 3 on this team, all running backs. If you're going to take a shot, take a shot. Ken Walker on a team that does nothing but run, and they got Drew Lock as their quarterback, and Geno Smith, and crotchety old Pete Carroll up there who wants to run the ball all the dang time. He reeled in Russell Wilson. I mean, come on. Oh, this one hurts my heart just a little bit because I'm loving Gabe Davis. The only bad thing recently that I've heard is that OBJ is being recruited by Von Miller to go to Buffalo. That happens. I'm not saying that I'm off of Gabe Davis, but it could hurt his production a little bit. And there goes Ken Walker. Cordell Patterson. Now, listen, I know everybody was loving Cordell last year, but he only did it 1 year. The only good thing about this is Atlanta's defense sucks. They're absolutely horrible. So, with that being said, I don't see Cordell Patterson being that bad. Plus the fact that on Sleeper, he's listed as a running back. That's a running back that can catch a whole lot of passes. I'm talking maybe as many passes as Dalvin Cook. Definitely more than Derrick Henry. It's not going to have the yardage. Probably won't have the touchdown marks either. But in a full PPR, that's not a bad choice. Next up. Look, Devontae Smith, I don't know what to do with him. I really don't. They brought in A.J. Brown. It shows that, yes, they brought him in to give more weapons to Jalen Hurts, but Jalen Hurts is a running quarterback. He's going to pull it down and run. He's not reading the defense. He's just taking off. Elijah Moore, again, it's the Jets. Don't trust them. The old man, Brady. And yes, I think this is the year he actually falls off. Now, Tony Pollard is really interesting because Tony Pollard is a standalone handcuff to Zeke Elliott. Now, the guy that probably should have made this move is down here at Team 2. Team 2 probably should have taken Pollard at some point in time. When? I'm not sure the 8th is where I'm going to be taking a handcuff because I'm still building depth on my roster. It's not really a handcuff spot, but here's the thing. He's a standalone value. He has worth by himself without injury. A lot like Kareem Hunt. So now Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, that's a good handcuff. I like that handcuff. Here's the only problem. You're only going to be able to play one of them because you got Najee. This is Team 7. You got Najee, Nick Chubb, and Cam Akers. Pittman and Cooper. And then Schultz is your tight end. Okay, so you've got your 2 running backs, your 2 wide receivers, and a flex. Do you really want your other flex to be the backup running back for your starting running back? It's not really a good formula, guys. So, next up, Devin Singletary. Look, I will tell you right now, unless his name is James Cook, I'm not taking any Buffalo running back. I don't want him. I don't need him. Don't care. Because the only running back that even counts on Buffalo just happens to play quarterback. True story, guys. Check the facts. Hunter Renfrow. Look, Hunter Renfrow going this late, I'm cool with it. What I'm not cool with is taking him on the same team that I spent a number one pick on Davante Adams. You don't handcuff wide receivers, guys. You handcuff running backs. Having this is just having a headache. Let that be someone else's problem. Now, who would I have taken in place of Hunter Renfrow? Hands down, no question about it, without a shadow of a doubt, Brandon Aiyuk. I would have taken Aiyuk in this spot just because, yes, I know Debo is great and Debo was number 2 overall and yada, yada, yada. But it's Trey Lance's show right now, guys. So Trey Lance, Brandon Aiyuk, they just got a connection. You got to recognize. Zach Ertz. Okay. Prescott. You guys know I'm not taking him. Now, I do want to point out that if this was me on Team 7, one, I seriously doubt I would have had that many running backs in the first 3 picks. Okay, same as Team 6, I wouldn't have had that many wide receivers in the top 3 picks. I definitely wouldn't have had Hill and Brown. Just saying. But I would not have taken Prescott here. Okay, you could have punted this position. You could have waited, and you could have taken Matt Ryan. Okay. So next up. Now, look, guys, I know my wife's probably going to kill me for this one, but Aaron Rodgers, really? Rodgers? Guys, there's nobody for him to throw the ball to. Okay. I'm sorry. It's just, there's not. Okay. So he doesn't have his best friend there anymore in Davante Adams. Yes, he got paid. Yes, he still has control, yada, yada, yada. But yeah, you could have taken somebody else. Next up, Dawson Knox. So, got my wide receivers. I've got my my quarterback. Now, the tight end here that I could have taken Freiermuth. Honestly, I would have waited for Cole Kmet. Okay. Simply because I don't trust Trubisky in Pittsburgh. Just don't. Now, don't get me wrong. I do like Pat Freiermuth as a fantasy tight end. He was phenomenal his rookie year. He did an absolutely great job. But that was with an aging Ben Roethlisberger who had a noodle arm. Okay. Kenny Pickens. I don't know what he's going to be. I like him. I got a lot of shares of him in Dynasty. But I don't know how Tomlin's going to be with a rookie quarterback. They gave it to Trubisky. I've seen flashes in Trubisky. He could be just he could do just enough to keep the job all year. That wouldn't be good for Freiermuth. Okay. So I like Cole Kmet. Like I said before, I think him and Darnell Mooney are the 1-2 punch. If I have Darnell Mooney, I don't want Cole Kmet. Okay. Simply because I don't want that much of the same team. Okay. Now, I think next time when I do this, I'm going to do a little bit longer. We'll probably do 10 rounds instead of 8. So we can build a little more, have a little more diversity. But let's just, for the sake of argument here, let's just say that I take a running back. Okay. Typically don't like these guys. I really, really Don't trust him, but I had some news come out today that I'm really excited about for making this pick. Rhamondre Stevenson, there's rumor that Damon Harris could be traded. I know my ears perked up too. So if Damon Harris gets traded, Rhamondre Stevenson is the guy to have in New England. Got out of Belichick's doghouse last year after the fumble on his second ever NFL carry. Then he did nothing but impress from there on out. So I like Rhamondre. It's a little bit of a reach at round 8. Probably could have waited. Now, some other guys that were in consideration here: Brandon Ayuk, and Chris Olave. I'm absolutely infatuated with Chris Olave. I think that Olave could be something very special with Jameis Winston, especially if Michael Thomas does not come back from this injury. So we see Matt Stafford there. We see Freiermuth. And last pick of this draft, Treylon Burks. Now, Treylon Burks, again, I'm not really big on, simply because I don't trust the fact that he can be supported by Ryan Tannehill. So, that being said, there's your draft. Tell me what you think about it. Down the bottom, subscribe, like, and share for me. Let me know what you think. There we go, guys. Remember, go on the Sleeper app. Next time, we're going to draft. If I don't have any requests, we're going to draft from a different position, and we'll show you a little more strategy from that position. I do encourage you, draft every single position. If you got 10 teams, you need to be doing like 20 mock drafts, okay? You can do it twice from each position just so you can get a feel for it. Because like you saw, things can happen that you don't expect. So with that being said, I do want you guys to remember probably my sweetest sponsor of all, and that's simply because it's Keller's Bakery in Youngsville. My boy Dusty, what's up, Dusty? He has been sponsoring me pretty much from the inception of this program, and love to send some love his way. He also wants to send you something. If you go down to Youngsville and you go to Keller's Bakery at 627 Lafayette Street off the Youngsville Highway, then you mentioned Faith in Football, you can get you 2 free mini cupcakes with your order. Order something, don't care what it is, pecan pie, which is absolutely phenomenal. And I don't even like pecan pies, but this stuff was off the chain, guys. I'm telling you. King cakes, year round. You got a birthday coming up, anniversary, a little something special for the family. Go down and see Keller's Bakery. Tell them that Faith in Football sent you. Get you 2 free mini cupcakes. Check them out. Back to school. Look, there's no harm in buttering up the teacher at the beginning of the year. A little something sweet. Trust me, it works. So go down and see him. You give him a call, 337-856-4449. Again, tell him I sent you. Get you 2 free mini cupcakes, any flavor you want. And we will see you next time on Faith and Football. Take it easy, guys. And remember, football is great, but God is greater. See you guys next time.